Hi guys, my name is Kip. So, do I think society pays enough attention to elderly people? No, I don't think society has paid enough attention to older people yet. Although they have done a pretty good job. So, in my opinion, older people deserve more attention. Nowadays, society has been launching campaigns, have been making very significant changes towards for the sake of older people, and they have done a really good job. Like for example, adding more prioritizing rules and laws and regulations into the system, and also to educate the younger generations about the importance of respect towards the elderly peoples, thus making, oh, thus increasing the life quality of elderly people in their final years. But I think, but in my opinion, I think society should pay even more attention to older people. For example, for example they can increase pension for older people, and also they can host maybe celebrations for group for age groups of older people. So it's like a celebration and an encouragement to keep maintaining a healthy life among the elderly. Okay, so how has the role of elderly people in society changed over the past few decades? Well, in my opinion, I think the role of elderly people in society has changed not so much. So, in like decades ago, when war and crises still exist in the society, elderly people they still act as like force of assistance. Yeah, they still act as a force of assistance, bringing knowledge, experience, and help help to assist the younger generation in things. And nowadays, they still do those things. They still act as the force of assistance, teaching younger generations um bring down their knowledge, wisdom, and experience, and also to assist the young generation directly in things like gaining money, taking house, not taking care of housework, childcare, things like that. While population is aging in many countries, well, in many countries, the mindset of young of younger generations are changing. They they now have the tendency to focus more on their studies, to prioritize their career, and maybe even more personal lifestyle, like mm, only their small nuclear family and not their extended family anymore. So now the minds the ideology about um repop yeah about repopulating, about pregnancy, and family dynamics is causing aging populations significantly. Yes. what What challenges do aging society face? First, they lack workforce because because the society is aging. Um, there will be fewer younger people. Thus, there will be more retirement, and with that, um, the society will lack workforce, and from that, deteriorating the life quality and economics. What benefits can an aging population bring to society? An aging society can help. Uh, oh, an aging society, an aging society can still have a few benefits. First they can have they can be more developed in their wisdom and experience. With this, no more school will have more school and will have more teachers who are experienced and wisdom and wise. So the younger generation, even though very few, can still gain significant amounts of knowledge and experience from the aging population, from the aging people. Should adult children be responsible for looking after their elderly parents? Yes, yes, of course they have well, the responsibility to look after their elderly parents because well it's uh, filial repayment. Yeah, I guess. So at the early years, parents they have to sacrifice a lot for their children, including time, money, youth, and things like that. So when the when the child is fully developed and is capable of repaying the favor to their parents who are clearly retiring and aging with time, the children will have the responsibility to repay the favor. It shows their respect, their morale, and it's it's the like it's the overall quality of the society. So yeah. So why do some older people prefer to live alone rather than with their children? In my opinion, because they they don't want to be a burden to their children, to their grandchildren and children. Some old people they are afraid of being a burden because taking care of an elderly person is is not cheap. An elderly person demand both time, money, and and extreme care to even be fully taken care of. With thus, grandparents may think they can be a burden to their children in their process of raising their grandchildren. So they may choose to live alone and avoid being a burden. Okay, so do you think family members today spend less time with elderly relatives than in the past? Yes, I do think that family members nowadays spend less time with elderly relatives than in the past. because now everyone has their own pace of life, and mostly it's very busy and fast. So family members, they can now be very submerged, immersed into their wait no so like uh emerged into their into their own pace of life, including work, fam- family matters, and mm, including work, family matters, and personal recreation things. So they so they thus they will spend less time with elderly relatives overall than that. Okay, so how can families support older people emotionally? They can pay more visits and now can manage their time better, so they can send more mails, calls, um, like keep it a constant pace, not to see, hear, even feel each other through devices or even face to face. So it doesn't pro- doesn't provoke the sense of loneliness, and that not make older people understand that they are still supported and they are still loved, which they will not feel so shameful about. They Old people can feel a lot of shame. Why is regular exercise particularly important for older adults? Because it keeps them fit and it helps them spend their time. First, First, regular exercise is, of course, important for their physical health. Older adults are more prone to diseases, like different kinds of chronic diseases, cardiovascular, things like that. So they have to keep their body fit in order to maintain the best health and in their regular pace of life. Another thing is that it helps. Another thing is that regular exercise acts as a recreational activity for older adults to spend their time. Older adults, they are old, so they may have retired, and when they retired, they will have lots of spare time in a day, and that can easily provoke the sense of boredom inside them. So they need something they need something to spend their time with, and to not be so vulnerable to mental disease to mental illnesses that can stem from boredom. Okay, so what prevents some elderly people from maintaining a healthy lifestyle? First, they can first it's their own age. They are too old, so they're too old. Their bodies are aging too fast. Well, so thus they cannot maintain a healthy lifestyle even if they do want to. Another thing is that they can feel ashamed. As I just said earlier, elderly people can feel a lot of shame. That's a psychological fact, I guess. So they they may face a lot of difficulties, like shame from other elderly people, shame from their own family, and things like that. It postpones them from not participating in no activities, and from that discouraging them from maintaining a healthy lifestyle. What are the most common health problems among elderly people? The most common health problems among elderly people, in my opinion, is let me think. Depression. Okay, so In my opinion, depression is the most common health problems among elderly people. Well, it may not be clear to it may not cl- it may not be clear for bare eyes to see, because most elderly people, they will try to hide their illnesses. No, so their family will not be worried about them. No, thus avoiding making themselves a burden. But elderly people, but nevertheless, elderly people are prone to various illnesses, including including emotional illnesses, like for example, loneliness, um, boredom, loneliness. Mm, well, maybe their own personality too. Yeah, they can have very serious problems with their personalities too. Like they are too prideful, too envious, too wrathful. Yeah, those things, they are problems for their personality. And with all of those things combined, they are prone to depression, and they will try to hide it. So we may not know about it, but studies have shown a lot of elderly people are suffering depression more than even cardiovascular diseases, which is of course a very common type of disease that exists among elderly people. Thank you for watching.